Last week, we talked about getting familiar with the parts, getting prototype information, some photos. We got started on the roof and clear story. Today, we're going to wrap up the roof and the car body, which will be as far as the Rick's original LaBelle kit pretty much goes, because as you see here, it's the body, the roof, some castings, end panels, and less trucks and couplers. So at this point, we will try to bring it up to the kit as issued, and then proceed on with the customization, which is what takes an average kit and turns it into something a little more special. Finished up the roof. It's all shaped. I like Krylon Color Max primer. Put that on it. Then the next step is the vents are made from sophisticated brass escutcheon pins. And the way to make those work is to take an old pair of needle nose, trim them off to about 1/4 inch. Be careful, both the Dremel disc and the pin wants to fly across the room if you lose your grip on anything. As once you cut them, drop them into a little foam tray so you don't lose them. Tip number 13, buy yourself an inexpensive dial caliper. You use this for measuring the diameter of rod or screws, also inside diameter of holes or lengths very accurately. It's an invaluable tool. They're not that expensive. They can usually be found now for less than 20 bucks. I haven't tried the digital ones, but they seem to be okay too. These vents / escutcheon pins are 0.053 inches. That's 53 thousandths of an inch, as shown on the dial up here. So these pins are now going to become your vents by inserting in holes in the top of the roof. Go to your chart. Everyone's got one of these somewhere in their toolbox. 53 thousandths is approximately between a 55 and number 54 drill. This is the drill sizes. This is fractional size drills. 3/64 won't fit. Sorry, it's too tight a squeeze. 1/16 will work if you don't have anything else. Drill it with that, but you'll just use Martin's ACC and glue combination when you go to install them, because the hole will be a little sloppy. A number 54 drill fits perfectly. Okay, you lay them out with tip number 14, Draftsman's compass. This is a divider with points in it. They come with a compass lead and a point and various combinations. They're now inexpensive. This particular set's probably 50 years old, still works fine. Draftsman equipment needs to be better understood. It's very, very handy for layout work, for measuring. I measured the points distance here from the drawing, which is to scale, and then just transferred it to the top of the roof, found the center here, and then started marking out the holes for the vents. It also makes a nice little dimple in there. Use a number 54 drill. In this case, it was a handheld drill and a Dremel tool. Start drilling the holes here. And by using a power drill, you get very little flash around here. Drill your holes. Start inserting the escutcheon pins. Here's one in place loosely, drilling the next one, then drilling the next one, drilling the next one, all the way down the roof. Put the roof on the car body. If it's assembled, that keeps it all kind of stable. So you got a good, nice, steady platform. And again, because I'm detailing the inside, I didn't want those escutcheons sending down in the middle like fangs coming down out of the roof of the car once the inside's assembled. Spacing them, you want each vent to be exactly the same distance above the roof. trying to push and pull those and look at it with an eyeball or measure it's impossible. Make yourself a Bill Davis Jigs and Fixtures. This is 30,000 styrene, a U-shaped hole. You insert the styrene underneath the escutcheon pin, push down, and then remove the template. You're exactly 30 thousandths away. Move on to the next one. All the pins are the same height above the height. As you can see here, they're all the same height above it. Okay, now start painting. I put a piece of masking tape inside the clear story, which is a wide open area. You don't want paint getting in there because I painted the inside white. That's got to be reflective of the light. So you put a forward facing, this is sticky sides tortoise. That goes inside the clear, open clear story. You hit the sides of the rods with your bit of your paint that you're going to use for the car body sides. In this case, it's a coach green color. Spray that on the sides there, and I've sprayed the masking tape here, the sides of the roof, doesn't matter. Get a nice coat of paint on it. Then use your ubiquitous roof template, cut a curved piece of masking tape, insert that inside the ridge of the clear story over your nice fresh green paint. Let it dry for a while. Stick a piece of green masking tape over that so you've covered the green, because trying to paint that later on with a airbrush or even a paintbrush, it's going to be very, very difficult. So you want that green. Do the same on all four corners. Then get in there with set it up on the black paint. This is a couple of pieces of wood held together with masking tape, piece of double stick masking tape on the inside the roof. Now I have a way of holding it in the spray booth, and I'm starting to set up for the car floor. So all ready for painting here. I'd put another light coat of primer on it, just to smooth everything out, look for any last minute flaws. Then I started with the black roof paint. This I wanted to put on at least a couple of coats. Moving an airbrush, what you want is that airbrush, as soon as it hits the surface, to be wet and then dry immediately. So as I'm moving back and forth, when I hit it with just a little paint, it looks wet, and then it's with fractions of a second later, it's dry. And then move up and down evenly, turning the model at all angles, side to side, top to bottom, ends the same way. Spray it from all angles lightly. I've got it set at a very low setting. Let it dry for a few hours, come back, spray another coat on it. And then what you have is a finished roof with, I used a weathered, grimy black, not a pure black, but a one with some weathering on it. What you see here is the masking tape's been removed, so it's an open clear story, and that little bit of green paint on the edges just requires a bare minimum of touch up. So it's green on the sides, and the green will match the car body later. I'm gonna escape here, switch screens quickly, and all right, I'm going to go to here and here and here, and now we're going to start the car body. This is saying, okay, open up the instructions again. What you'll see here is different widths. These are called window posts. There are different sizes. There's the number 2 size, which is 3 panels across with raised sections. The 4s are narrower. The 5s and 6s have a raised ridge on one end. What you look at when you look at the inventory that you receive is that you have about 24 pieces of this number 2 size material, 3 pieces of the number 4 size, 0 of the number 5s, and 0 of the number 6s. Time to be very judicious about making them. What you have to do is cut up some of the number 2s and turn those into 5s and 6s. Keeping them straight is going to be tough. So your first battle is to make it easy by pencil marking the inside of the side walls so you know which window frame, which window post goes where. Be aware of this all the way through. As you go through, you'll notice the window openings have a little bit of fuzz on them. You've got to clean this off. And you'll see this on all of the window openings throughout the kit. You're just going to have to get out that needle file and remove the fuzz before you go to the next stage. These have already been sealed so that these become a little more prominent. That matte sealer was invaluable that we put on the first step. Identify the pieces. The 9 pieces are wainscoting that go on the bottom of the car sides. The number 2s go in between the windows where the number 2 goes. 5 and 6 you don't even have a picture of, so I drew my own. A 5 has a window frame on one side and wainscoting on the other. A number 6 has a raised window frame and window scotting. What happens is these window frames form, obviously, the frames of the windows. So the panel on the, I get to on the next one, the window panels that you receive. This is all you get. You get milled pieces, couple of number 4s, and the rest are number 2s. Be very, very careful. This is all you get. There will be almost no scrap left over. Looking close at these, you see that in the side view, there is a raised window frame on each corner. The area in between here is scrap, and you're going to want to file that smooth so you get a sharp edge on each side of the window. Here it is from the front. You can see the raised window frames and the wainscoting in between them, raised window frames. And you only have X numbers of these, so be careful how you cut them out and use them. This is a number 5 made from a number 2. You just cut off the outer edge and you have 3 flat panels, the corner piece, and that forms a number 5. The window frame faces the window. The flat side faces the end of the car, and this will mate up with the front or rear end of the car body. Very, very carefully. Again, super sharp X-Acto knife or scalpel blade, trim them square. And as you start generating, you realize, oh my gosh, how do I keep them straight? Little milk caps cleaned out work great. I have the number 2s in this bin, the number 4s, which you actually got 3 of when you only need 2. Keep those in one bin, and the 5s and 6s, which are symmetric, they fit in another bin. I even saved my scrap because I wasn't sure how I was going to have much of everything to finish it. Then scrape them on a flat surface. I prefer a hard backed sandpaper for doing the square edges, and then put them at a 30-degree angle just to break the chamfer on the backside so there's no flash. Tip number 15, piece of sandpaper glued on both sides of a hard plastic sheet. I've got 80 grit on one side. I've got 120 grit. This is just held in place with double stick Scotch tape onto a hard surface so I can cut it, just like having a smooth, flat file with a replaceable grit and a convenient hole to hang it on your workbench. Then my dutiful A1 glue, A West glue dispenser, 1 window post at a time. Here I've got number 2s available. Just put a little bit of white glue on there, glue them down, put them in place. You'll notice I'm down to, I only have 3 number 2s left, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 number 2 window posts, and one in my hand. So this is what you get. I had no number 2s left over in the kit. When you place them, make sure you put them in the center of the window post so there's an equal amount on both sides of the window. Remember, this is actually a window frame, so you want these equal. The best way to do that is to eyeball them. And fortunately, the kit, these were cut the correct length the first time, so I didn't have to do any cutting or trimming on the horizontal here. Just separate them from the milled basswood piece. Once they're in place, glue them, hold them down with a light clamp. This is an old machine tool lathe cutter, and it's perfectly square, and it's the right width that fits down between the letterboard and the chair rail. So it nests down there and it holds the glue. It only has to stay there 15-20 minutes for it to set up. It's a very thin coat of glue. On the edges, again, make sure you've got the inside of the window frame facing the inside of the window. Stick that in place, but you can't hit that with a clamp because it would twist. So make sure your clamp lies on the flat surface of the window post and holds it down while it's setting up. This is the total amount of window post material I had left after the job was done. This was the last piece in. This was all that was left. Be careful of your window post material. This is the wainscoting. First, I sanded it flat on one side, and then I broke the chamfer on the back side with my flat sanding disc. This is 3x4 quarter sheets of sandpaper. I just buy by the dozen in different grits and use them up, throw them away, glue them down again. Here I'm putting the wainscoting in place, pass my X-Acto knife down between the joints, and note here 2 things. 1, equal distance between the windows. Keep that even. Also, surprises lurking in the corners. These little pieces of grit manage to get in there. They will appear in your final paint job if you're careful, as will this bit of fuzz. Get rid of all of that. And the way to do that is get out a brass wire brush, stroke with the grain, and turn it over on the back side, brush the window openings, and that wire brush will do a nice job of cleaning it up just before painting. Here I'm cheating on the inner doors, and rather than trying to make a panel out of basswood or scrap wood, I made a Xerox on a piece of thin cardstock and then cut out the cardstock for the door panels, pops it right out. Here's the, as you get on with it, it gets easier and easier to work with here. Here's doing one of the inner doors, and yes, I made a mistake here. Cut that out. The mullion didn't come out right. That is a piece of, that's a pencil with a dab of Elmer's glue, and dot it up, put it away for a while, come back to it after the glue's dried. There's a repair. It's going to go on the inside of this door, so clean up the casting. Because I'm going to put quarter round molding on the edges here, I went ahead and carried that mark down to the side of the window of the door opening, so you can put the quarter round molding in there. Here are the door panels ready to go on the door. Now this is a plain door on the front end, so when this is glued in place, it just forms a plain door, and then there'll be molding around it. The opening for the end door on the backside of the car has to be open on both sides, so that this door opening has to be there. All the door openings here for doors and windows need to be in place. End door, quarter round molding just around the edges. Again, don't have to worry too much about at the bottom because we're going to file that flat. Just a bevel up in the corners, put your quarter round molding in, that forms the door opening. Both sides here. And again, this is straight here. Don't worry about this door panel. That's just for show. This has to be square and true because the window and the lower wainscoting is going in this area. The ends, after they're assembled, you can see how it's all piled in here. Another coat of primer. You can't put too much primer on, as long as you put it on thin every time. Use a fine point scriber. I use preformed grab irons because I'm lazy and they're much easier to work with. Get a scriber, a number 77 drill the openings, insert that, and it's never too early to put these in place. To keep from crushing them, just slide a piece of cardstock behind the rail so you can handle the darn things. Then as you start assembling, don't forget the doorknobs. This is the inside of the door being built up. This will fit this side to the back side of this door, and that will form the window openings. In between that comes the trick of putting the acetate in there so you have windows inside and out that you can see through. These will hold the glazing. Now you assemble the car body. Fortunately, this bottom piece for the platform is square and true and absolutely the right length. So when you put the sides on with the quarter round molding on the ends, the sides come right to the end of the platforms here, and same way up in here. So you now have a square surface. You're square and true. Make sure, check these with a level and a square. Make sure everything is square on there and you're ready to insert. Place that on the end of the car. Check again, square across there. You'll notice there's no attachment here yet. This is the inside door shown there. Coat of paint on it at this point doesn't hurt. Inside of the door, plumb square. Now remember, everything's loose. Be careful how you handle it. Your glue joint is to the side, to the end only. Glue here, no glue here, no glue on the roof, no glue on top of the end, no glue on the end, only this joint. Do that for the rear and the right side. Let it set overnight. Go back, do the front and the left side, same corner on the same piece of wood. Again, ends only. And then you glue the two side and end assemblies together. You're left with this. Your molding, crown molding and round molding is flat on the sides. It does not necessarily have to be flat on the ends, but then you've opened up the end platform so it fits snugly over that. So we left this to the very last minute to trim with a file. Glue, this joint's glued, and that's how it's set up. Then we take a file and just smooth this surface. You can see a little bit of paint on that sticking out. You'll make this surface and this quarter round smooth. And you'll notice here, this is where the window frame was and the flat wainscoting on the window posts. The other end, again, had to do a little sanding on the ends once they were all put together. Got both sections here, and just smooth off the quarter round, which is easy to make blended into the rest of the body. So we do both of these that direction. And I jumped too far here. Oh, one thing I need to point out, this corner, roof did not fit well. Fine on this side, sticking up on this side. That's a problem. Turns out this end was a little bit high. Out there with the magic Dremel tool, slowly removing material until we got a satisfactory tight fit on the end of it. And then after the roof is held in place lengthwise, just trim the ends slightly so that the curvature of the end of the roof matches up to the number boards on the side, lettering boards. Last check to make sure the roof stays in place laterally is a tiny piece of wood and 1 drop of glue in each corner so that the wood is up against the ends. Remember, no glue on the ends, no glue on the sides. Only glue is the stop to the roof, the stop to the roof, and the same on the other end, so the roof doesn't move laterally. Finish cleaning up the clear story windows, which are separate casting. Give them a coat of the green sidewall paint, but again, clean up the openings, then coat, paint it, and you're ready for assembly. This is the paint the sides separately. You put pre-painted clear story window panel up here. This has already been pre-painted. You assemble it. Now you've married the roof to that. Again, nothing is attached, and you're ready to go on to the next project. So hop aboard on the car, and we'll be ready for next week when we really get into customizing this model.